The mirror will tell me the truth. Haha! What if you can't handle the truth? It's a line from a great movie with Tom Cruise in it. Isn't it awesome when you come into the bathroom or you get yourself in front of a mirror and the sun's shining this bright light, and if you have no clothes on, the mirror will tell you exactly what's going on with your body. You don't need a body fat test, you don't need to weigh yourself, you don't need to measure yourself, you don't need to have anybody's opinion. You can look in your mirror and it will tell you exactly what's going on. So I have to take responsibility for that. Would that be fair? And I was taught a very long time ago, and it's very confrontational and hurts a lot. But if I'm fat, I ate it. If I'm broke, I spent it. If I have lousy, stinking, horrible, negative, gossiping, criticising people in my life, I put them there. I allowed them to come in, and I haven't got rid of them yet, or I haven't decided that that shouldn't be the kind of person I have in my life. If I have a lousy, stinking, rotten job, I interviewed into it. And if I don't like my business, I bought it or I created it. So I have to take responsibility for that. And it's very confrontational because most humans don't want to do that, do we? We want to blame somebody else. It's not my fault. It's the government's fault that I'm fat. It's the medications. It's the high-fat food. It's the high-sugar food. It's interesting though, because there's high-fat food, high-sugar food, crappy junk food available to everybody, but not everybody eats it. We get to choose what food we eat. Isn't that interesting? It's another great quote that I really like. Every meal I've ever eaten, I was there. Everything I eat, I choose to eat it. I put it in my mouth. So if I'm fat, if I'm diseased, and that's the horrible thing about the world right now, we're fatter and sicker and weaker and more diseased than we've ever been. The medical professionals will tell us, the ones that I deal with on a regular basis are very happy to share with me, well, happy is probably not the right word, that 8 out of 10 people that are in a doctor's office or in a hospital are there because they are unhealthy, because they're inactive or they eat crappy food, or both. 8 out of 10 people have decided to be or will not take responsibility for their own health. They are overweight, sick, depressed, weak. Horrible things going on with their brain and with their body because they haven't taken responsibility for their body. Now, all of that sounds really harsh. But what's beautiful about that is when I come into my bathroom and look in my mirror, as you can do when you go into your bathroom and look into yours, you don't have to live that life. You can say, I don't like what I see in this mirror, I'm going to change it. And as an old lady, I always thought, and I share that regularly because when I was young, I really believed that as an old person, I would be old and sick and frail and fat and diseased and rattling with all the pills that I would be taking, and I'd have tubes in my nose and end up in some horrible place where old people go to die. Well, you don't have to live like that, of course. And there are people who live to be very, very old, who live as they always have when they were 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And that's what excites me the most. I'm fitter, stronger, healthier, mentally tougher than I've ever been. And I always figure that that's common sense, isn't it? If you get older, you should be getting older and better, older and wiser, older and fitter and stronger, not just older. So I have to take responsibility, and this is the fun one when I look in my mirror, because sometimes I have to limp in here because my body's all busted and broken. Apart from the fact that I did stupid exercises that busted and broke my body when I was younger, I'm a very active woman. I'm physically active all day long. The only two positions I have in my life is upright and sleeping, and the only two speeds I have is flat out and stop. I don't do average. And I share that with you because I always thought that as an old lady I would slow down and I wouldn't be able to do all those things. But I've gotten better as I've gotten older. And there's a lot of reasons for that, of course, because if you keep muscle, you stay strong. If you stay fit, your heart and lungs stay strong, so you don't have to slow down. The reverse of that, though, if you do slow down, you lose fast twitch muscle fibers. So slow twitch muscle fibers are the ones that are good for walking, but they're no good for sprinting or jumping or kicking or doing high intense activity. So if you're not doing high intense activity, if you're not kicking and punching and sprinting and jumping and lifting heavy, then those fast twitch muscle fibers, they waste away. So you have to take, if you're getting old and you're getting weak and you're getting fat, surely you have to take responsibility for that. Why do we think we could blame somebody else? Well, of course you can, because you're an adult and you can blame whoever you want. But I was told again a very long time ago that as an adult, one of the standards of being an adult is you take responsibility for your actions. Children often don't, but as adults we really should have learned to do that by now. So if I'm broke, I spent it. If I'm fat, I ate it. If I have lousy people in my life, I chose to put them there. And if I hate my job, I interviewed for it. If I hate my business, I put myself there. And I'm sharing that again because they're, for me, the 4 fundamentals of life. Be healthy, fit and strong, have a career or business that you love, be financially free and have great people in your life. And if I give that responsibility to somebody else should be making me wealthy, somebody else should be making me happy, somebody else should be keeping me healthy and strong, I think that's a childish attitude. That's just my opinion. I don't want to be a child, I'm a mature woman now. So do you take responsibility for everything that happens in your life, or do you blame other people? And I think it's a really great question to ask. And if I ever hear myself making excuses or blaming or even if a thought enters my mind, I'm really quick to change. And I'll give you an example. I was watching a podcast yesterday and there was a woman about the same age as me, and very sadly she was on plus 30 medications every day, pills and pills and more pills and more pills for all of the things that happen when your body breaks down. So she had coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, asthma. She was on painkillers for sore shoulders and sore knees. She was waiting for knee replacements and hip replacements. She was depressed, so she was on antidepressant medication, and she was about the same age as me. And it's really interesting because as I was, the podcast was coming into my life, I was listening to that while I was walking on my tread desk. So I don't have a sit-down desk when I do my work, I'm constantly moving, which I don't consider to be exercise. It's just for me a way to keep my brain functioning more effectively, and I hate sitting down. But it's really funny because when I saw her, and I had to have a look at her because I was listening to the podcast, but I looked at her and just went, I'm going to take full responsibility for my life right now. I had already planned to sprint and lift heavy yesterday, but I stopped what I was doing and I went straight outside and hill sprinted with the dogs. I came back and lifted really heavy. It was just a really great motivation for I want to take responsibility for my life and I don't want to be an old lady full of pills and making excuses. And she had lots of excuses about why she was on all these pills. Now, I'll never tell you who she is and you'll never know who she is, but I'm sharing that with you because sometimes motivation comes from the oddest places. Sometimes, again, this is a really cool thing shared with me. If you don't, in those 4 fundamentals, if you want to be healthy, fit and strong, if you want to have a great business or career, if you want to be financially free, and if you want to have great people in your life, go and find people that are unhealthy, fat, diseased, depressed, who hate their job, who don't have any money, who have horrible people in their life, and follow them around for a couple of days or a week and write down everything they do, and then don't do it. I thought that was great advice. I just want to live my life to the max. How about you? To me, life is too short or too long. It could be too short, we don't know how, it could be over tomorrow, could be over today. Or you could live a very long time, and there are some people who do live a very long time with very poor quality of life. And that's one of the interesting things that people often share with me, Rowie, I don't want to live old because I don't want to end up in one of those facilities where you're rattling with pills and you've got tubes in your nose and you can't do anything and you may as well be dead. Well, you don't have to live like that. And as I always share, this is my favourite story. We went to visit some of the oldest people in the world, and one of the best groups of old people in the world, so places in the world where people live the longest, is Sardinia in Italy. And at the pub at the end of the day was a group of blokes, and they were having a cigar and a glass of wine and a pizza. They just played soccer. The music had started and they were planning on dancing, and they were all full-time older farmers and they had played soccer before they came to the pub. I'm sharing all of this with you because the youngest in the group was 85 and the oldest was 103. So what a cool group of blokes to interact with. But this is the best part of the story because for me, life is all about quality. And the oldest guy, who was 103, was a cheeky old bugger, and he says to the interpreter, we were having this great conversation via the interpreter, he says to the interpreter, tell the lady she's very pretty, but I'm going home to make love to my wife. Talk about take responsibility for your life. Healthy, fit, strong, still working, still playing sport, still dancing, eating yummy food, and still making love to his wife. Surely that's how you'll want to live. Surely that is living life to the max. So look in your mirror, and if you don't like what you see, bloody change it, because you can.